I had the I don't think he blames you at all. I think you were the push and the catalyst to get him moving and grooving. To do like I definitely don't think he should have been staying in that relationship whatsoever. I think you were a good point to get him out of his shell and you kind of helped him heal away from her. But I just don't think that he was prepared to really like lose.
Yeah.
It really seems like he always just thought he would win the divorce. Does that make sense? Because it became over time less about them and more about this.
Right.
And I feel like he just always was like, I've got it in the bag. Like there's nothing to fucking worry about.
Right. Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So I don't think he blames you. That was gonna happen whether you were kind of in the picture or not.
Right.
They were already there. Um, so I
Does he want, oh, go ahead.
so I want to talk about where you can go from here, okay? Because I know your first actionable step is like your career and everything that's secure, and your first actionable step is kind of like to have this talk with this guy and to rip the band-aid off. Um, and I feel like your next question is like, are you going to get the truth? And, are his answers like legit, right? Um, so you pulled like the magic is immediate, and so I think he is going to come up to you and like kind of tell you the truth. It's almost like he has like a little bit of a guilty conscience. Not that he's doing something. What?
What is the truth? Like, tell me the truth about, like, what is the truth?
So I think the truth is going to be like if he's being not faithful or if he really just wants to be around, right? And he wants to make this kind of like family number two work, like you
Right.
and the kid, right?
Right.
And you can't force somebody to stay that doesn't want to or that needs to kind of really take a break. And honestly, you don't really want somebody with as many mental health issues like that around your kid. That's scary.
Yeah.
And that's a big factor you have to consider that if you want to be serious with him, like, do you trust somebody with the safety of your child that's having those thoughts? That's like a big step. And I would caution you and just be like, hey, if your children are concerned about you, I'm concerned about you. Like maybe you should seek some type of counseling because this
Yeah.
makes me worried. And
Yeah, those are things both his he has more of a relationship with his oldest daughter. His youngest one is she's 20 and she's at that very selfish age and just wants to worry, you know what I mean? Like she and I think because she had to live with the mom all summer,
mhm,
she was like around the drama all the time. She just
she's
wants,
over it.
yeah, she's over it. So, but anyways, the older daughter and I have like we have said those things.
Mhm.
Do you think that he actually called a woman that night when he said he did? Because I wasn't being supportive.
Yeah, but that's not your fault though. That's not your fault because you literally did the thing that he told you to do. That's a part of his weird manipulation pattern. Like it really is.
Is he interested in this woman?
I don't think this is like it doesn't feel like it's a sexual like romantic relationship. I think he's just calling. Everybody on Snap, I feel like it's just random bitches. Like those, none of it feels serious. But like I'm saying, he has like this attention void, like woe is me, victim mentality.
Does he talk good about me behind my back, like to other people?
I think he does. I think he does. You are not the problem. I want to stress that. You are not the problem. I think it's him and what he has up here. And if he's not willing to like resolve those issues, then what's going to happen is that's going to start fucking up your life.
Right.
And that's reality. That's the path I see is if you stay with this guy and he's not willing to get some help, it's going to continue to not be a fun time for you. So the next card you got is no one is coming for you. No one is coming for you. You have to decide if you want to stay here or if you want to leave here, but nobody is going to come in here and save you white knight style. And you already know that because you're a seasoned lady. You have had a marriage, you've lost a marriage, and you've rebuilt your life independently of yourself. You don't need him to kind of validate those feelings if you're a badass. Like obviously nobody wants to be like alone forever because we're not meant to be alone. I don't think anyway. But also everybody is kind of a lesson and we have to be careful that we're not attracting people that were the same reason why we left the first marriage to begin with.
Right.
Is falling into those categories. Maybe not because he was always like that, but because we're here, because he's ignored his own healing, then that's kind of on him. But the main message I think here is that you don't want that to affect you because you worked really hard to get yourself out of the trenches.
Right.
Um, and so the next card you have is forgiven. And I don't really think that this is a point in which you need to forgive this guy. I think this is a point in which we can't blame ourselves. And that talks a lot back to like the mental health journey that I think is going to be really, really important in 2025. Like you don't just attract, I see you kind of being like venting to somebody and like a friend or something and be like, how do I keep finding these motherfuckers?
Right.
It's not it's not you. Like, it's not you. It's these guys. It's unfortunate that they are coming across your path and they're seeming like Prince Charming. But I just don't want you to blame yourself because it's not you. It is truly him. I don't think he's always had these problems. I think because he is older, you're seeing a different layer of him, almost like he's having a little midlife crisis, right?
Right.
That's what it feels like. And I don't know if he's going to get any better because he has not had to rebuild his life like you have. He has no building blocks for self sustainability because he went from there to you. So he really doesn't know how to fucking do it.
Right.
Um, so he is going to have to work on himself, and you have to choose if you're going to be patient and kind and like wait essentially for him to get better, or if you're going to stand on business and be like, listen, I need a boundary here. I need you to take care of yourself because your kids and I legitimately love you and we have worries. And if he's willing to put in the work, then I say that there's a potential for it to be long lasting. Um, However, you have to be open and honest with yourself of how self aware he is. Like, if he would be willing to accept that type of help and advice, because not everybody wants to hear it. And that's okay if that's the path they choose.
Right.
Um, so your next three oracle cards are luck is on your side, new moon in Sagittarius. Um, I think it's gonna work out the way it is supposed to. And that means that if he is
So
willing,
he's the Sagittarius.
he's a Sagittarius. That's funny. That's funny. I like that. So
So
speaking, that is funny. So speaking as somebody who is, I'm married to a Sagittarius and my father is a Sagittarius. And sometimes it's a nightmare because they are two opposite people. I'm an air sign and they're fire signs, and they're two opposite people. And it does feel like they bounce around mood wise. It does. Like you have to have a lot of patience.
yeah.
A lot. And if you can't handle that, then those types of signs are not for everybody, and that's okay.
Right.
I think he's a really powerful guy in getting whatever he wants, but I think he really needs to put himself first because not only that, like you have to think about your own business, which you're raising, continuously raising a teeny human, and do you want to have that in the middle of this?
Right.
Because whether or not she talks about it, she's watching everything.
Mhm.
She's seeing you go through every single thing. She's listening.
Right.
So, your next cards are your dreams need a practical plan. What do we talk about with the stand, right? we need to start creating a vision board to get that going. And I think this guy might, I hear he might come around like once, like, have you talked to him about this like little dream of the fruit? Like, have you shared this with him?
We've joked because he's older than me and obviously will retire sooner. So like we've joked that we're gonna move south and yeah, have a greenhouse. But obviously I have a kid here. So, you know,
Yeah.
I
I
really
yeah, I think if he can get his shit kind of together, I think I think he could end up working for you and be like a little mini employee. That sounds funny, but I think it's the truth. You really need to have an open and honest talk, and everybody has free will, right? Everybody has free will. So he could choose to be like, well, fuck you. Like, I am offended and I don't feel that way. I think he's going to have some deep regrets. And to him, you would always be the person that got away if he chooses that path.
okay.
Um, so, like I said, that's up to you whether or not you stay or go. But I think the catalyst that is going to really determine if you stay is if he's willing to put his mental health first, because that is really going to fuck you up if he's not. That's what I see. If he is not willing to take care of himself and have an open and honest talk with himself, it's going to fuck you up. And I don't see it being good for you. I don't see it being good for your kid. Um, so you can choose to ignore my advice or go with it. That's up to you. But the next, I want to talk about this last tarot card that we pulled because I forgot to talk about it, which would be Temperance. Temperance talks about having a lot of patience, like slow and steady wins the race. You are the female embodiment of somebody who's working and you've kind of got your shit together, but anything that you're hoping and dreaming for is just going to take some time. Okay. And so this is the part in which we have to have patience with ourselves. And this is honestly the hardest fucking part.
Right.
It is. It is the hardest part in any type of manifestation journey. If we're trying to manifest like stability in our relationships or stability in bringing something forward like this fruit stand, right? Um, I can't tell you to leave this guy, and I'm not going to because I truly believe that that is unethical. I don't read tarot that way. You can find another tarot reader that will, but I don't do it because I don't like that. However, because to me that's an unethical use of gifts or intuition or whatever you want to call it, right? And you have your own intuition, and I want you to follow it. Do not let this guy, because I think that's a part of his gaslighting is being like, well, what you're feeling is not real. Like he's just very downplay
Right.
like situations. And so I want you, whenever you start having these thoughts, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Is this me or is this him? Have I always been like this? Have I always felt like this? And if the answer is no, then you know it's him.
Right.
And you have to kind of communicate that in a way in which you're not like being accusatory. You could just be like, hey, like I really just don't identify with how you're saying this. And this is truly where I'm coming from. And I need you to take a minute to really hear me.
Okay.
And if he's open and like responsive in a positive way to that, then I think things are going to get better. If he shuts down and he doubles down on this gaslighting bullshit that your friend was talking about, then I think you kind of have your answer. He has just as much free will in this situation as you do. I don't think he's like fucking other bitches, to be blunt about it.
Right.
Definitely think this guy has problems. And I think you know he has problems.
Right. I do. I
Uh,
do.
so we kind of have to make a choice if we're going to accept the good and the bad and if it's really worth it. So what's interesting enough is your last card is don't let your past hold you back. South Node. So that you have to make a decision on where you're going to grow. Whenever you say the South, do you mean like the East Coast?
he means like Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's to me that would be more like East Coasty. I would say that you go where you want to go because it's your fruit stand, first of all. But I do see you in a warmer climate. I think I've never personally been to Alabama, but I think it is like a more warmer climate than Wisconsin.
Yes, definitely.
And I see you kind of like in a marshier place, like almost like your final home is going to be near a lake. Okay. But I see you very, very happy and content within the next 5 to 10 years. Because let's see, the daughter's going to be 17. I don't think your daughter graduates high school or goes to college. It's either graduates high school or goes to college in Wisconsin. I think she's going to go with you wherever you end up. Because that's going to be around that mark where she's making those big life choices, right? I think she's going to stick with you because you and her are like this. So
Mm-hmm.
she's going to go wherever the hell you go. That's just how that's going to work out. But I see you two, you and the daughter, still very, very happy, very, very content. So you've got
Yes.
nothing to worry about there.
Okay.
But, and I think the job is good for now, but we need to start making plans for like a bigger move. Because eventually, like, you're gonna get so secure that you're gonna become unhappy because you'll be bored.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it does. Yeah.
All right. Do you have any more questions before I like kind of close it
Um,
out or
just one that we didn't get to go in, and I know my time is up,
yeah,
but physical health.
physical health. Physical health. I can pull a card for that. Do you feel like you have like inflammation? They're showing me the word of inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So, I don't know if it's something with a thyroid. I'm not the best medical medium, okay? Like I'm just not. That's not my forte. My forte is like spirit guides and dead people. Physically, I think overall, if you go to the doctor, they're going to be like, "You're fine. What's wrong with you?" But I feel like we feel puffy. Does that make sense? Like we feel bloated, we feel puffy, we feel just not like tired, just not how we would normally feel.
I have arthritis, which is the inflammation. So
Mm,
I've had it pretty much since I was childhood. So I have childhood psoriatic arthritis.
mm, I'm
So
so
so that's I mean, obviously arthritis is inflammation.
yeah.
So yeah.
So somebody comes in and just says like, I don't know if there's any I don't know if there's any like medical things people are really going to help you with arthritis because I don't think there's medicine yet to really treat that. Somebody talks about like supplements and making sure you're taking your vitamins, drinking. They're saying drinking less caffeine and more water to keep it's almost like you're retaining. Does that make sense? Like retaining fluid. I keep wanting to go like this, like you feel like this.
Okay.
Um, but overall, I see it going to be fine. Keep going. Do you go to a chiropractor? Because they're mentioning like going to a chiropractor, getting adjustments if that's safe for you, and starting some yoga. But I don't see anything really
Okay.
too off.
Okay.
Like
Good.
I see maybe the arthritis really starts to act up in like your golden years, like
Okay.
your 80s, like
Okay.
old. You're
Okay.
going to probably have some problems. And they're talking about a bone density test. I don't know when the standards are for bone density tests for women. Somebody says in their 40s. Make sure you keep up with those arthritis appointments. And they're talking about looking into a bone density test like as you get older.
Okay.
Okay, because you're not 40 yet, are you? You don't look it, you don't feel it.
No, I'm not 40 yet.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was like, I don't think she's that old.
I'm not, but my body is. but no, I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think she's that old. So yeah, that's kind of it. I think overall you're relatively healthy, but I think you just need to keep the arthritis, yes, in the forefront. And I would try like any and every holistic you approach you can before we start with other methods like serious medication, unless it becomes to a point where you're like, bitch, I can't move.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, unless you're like debilitated in your everyday functioning life is a problem. Obviously, keep your appointments if you see somebody yearly or monthly or whatever for that. But
Okay.
start thinking about that. Thinking about, and I don't know what doctors have counseled you like in the past with it, but that's kind of where I would go first.
Okay.
Obviously, if you have prescription meds, don't stop taking them. But
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
yeah, you got anything else? Are you good or
I think I'm okay.
you're okay? I know I gave you a lot of information to handle. Sorry about that.
No, that's why I did this.
Yeah. So this reading is recorded. I'm gonna download it and send it to you again. And I don't know if you got the packet that I sent
Yep.
you. It's got like a little journal in it, so you can re-listen to this reading and print it off and take notes, or you can upload it to an iPad. However you want to do it, it's yours to keep. It's a little freebie I like to give my people.
Okay.
That way you can look at it if you ever book again, and you can be like, "Damn, this worked."
Mm-hmm. Okay. Perfect.
But anyway, you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for
Thank
trusting me in this space. I really appreciate it.
thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.